This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, thank you all for coming tonight. Great to see everybody. Let's go ahead and do introductions. My name is Kim. I'm from Des Moines, Iowa. I have relapsing and remitting, diagnosed 2012, currently on Ocrevus. I will go next to John. John, you want to introduce yourself? Welcome back.
You already introduced me. Anyways, I'm John. I live in Big Rapids, Michigan. Um, I have been diagnosed with relapsing remitting in 2016, and I am currently on Zeposia.
Do
And
you need
Kim, if I
time
could have
tonight?
yeah, like I'll keep it to 5 minutes.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then Jessica, we think she's new, but she actually isn't new because she was in the chat a couple weeks ago. So Jessica, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Jessica. I don't know what type of MS I have, but I forgot to ask when I had my last infusion, but that's my goal for my next appointment. I was diagnosed at the end of 2021, and I'm currently taking Ocrevus, and I would like a few minutes.
Okay, great. And where are you calling from today, or where are you at?
I'm
What state are
based
you from?
I'm currently in Atlanta, Georgia.
In Georgia. My husband will be there in a couple weeks. Where's it? I'm totally forgetting the suburb. Anyway, great to have you here tonight. Great that you made it back. Jen, go ahead and introduce yourself. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I'm from Michigan as well. I have secondary progressive MS and I'm currently taking Rituxan. And I'll just chime in as needed. I don't really need time tonight.
Okay, thank you, Jen. And then Marlo, welcome. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Marlowe, Sterling Heights, Michigan. Onset 97, diagnosed April of 22, dimethyl fumarate, and I don't need time.
Okay, thank you, Marlo. And Marie, welcome, Marie. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm from New Jersey on Ocrevus. I was diagnosed April 2021. And I'm on I said that already. I'm on Ocrevus. I'm progressive relapsing. I don't need time today.
No time today? Okay. And Christy, welcome. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Mute wasn't coming off. Sorry about that. I'm Christy from Brighton, Colorado, diagnosed in 2003. I am currently on Ocrevus. That's like the theme of the medication in this room. Yeah, and I have active secondary progressive. That was my last diagnosis. I don't know if it's holding up or not because she needs to like review more of my scans. But that's it. And I am with Jen. I'll just chime in when needed. I don't need any extra time today.
Okay, thank you, Christy. And last but not least, Sherry, welcome. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you. I'm Sherry from Gaylord, Michigan. Diagnosed in 2008, and I'm not on any medication yet.
Did you need time tonight, Sherry?
A few minutes. It would be
Okay.
great.
Okay, thank you. And then Carmen just came in. Carmen, welcome. Go ahead and introduce yourself. You are on mute, girl.
Darn it. Hi. I'm Carmen from Canada. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you all. I have primary progressive MS. I was diagnosed in 2014. I started on Ocrevus in 2017. And I have primary progressive. Did I say that? Having a tough day. Having a tough week, actually. But anyway, just getting ready for the heat and adjusting to all that. And I don't need any time. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Carmen. All right, let's swing it back to John.
Hi. Um, I have just a couple things to talk about. Um, One is that my parents and my in-laws are buying me a like a lift recliner to help me so I can stand up and get into my wheelchair a lot easier. And I'm just kind of asking if you guys would, in the chat, if you have any like recommendations, or if you ever heard like prefer, hey, this company does a little bit more, anything like that. Feel free to just shoot it in there. I'm currently at like the day after knowing I was getting it, so I looked on Google, and Google has everything. I mean, there's a lift recliner that goes up to 65 miles an hour. I swear, like it's just everything's out there. So if you could help narrow it down, I thank you very, very much. And the second thing is a little bit difficult, so I'm going to have tears. But I know that Jennifer knows because we see each other on Facebook all the time. Um, I've had to call 911 5 times in the past 2 weeks to help. Um, I think all of you know that I do have a wife, and she is my caregiver. And sometimes it gets to a point where she can't lift me anymore because I try and I can't stand up. So the first time was I couldn't get up off the toilet because somehow, I don't know how, but I sat down sideways on it, and like everything wasn't quite moving right. So they came over, got me up, got me in my chair. Good success. The next day, a toilet seat riser showed up from Amazon right at my front door, and I've had no problems getting up off of that
Good.
because it's in a great position for me to use my sink and oddly enough, my shower chair to stand up, turn around, and get my um, into my chair. Uh, Time number two was the next day. I couldn't get out of bed. I was very weak, very tired. So again, they got me up, got me in my chair, got me to my office where I could work for the day. And then that night, I couldn't get up off the couch. So called them, and the same four people that were there in the morning came that night. So, anymore they just walk in the door like, John, where are you? I'm in the living room on the couch. Like they just know. They've been to my house enough. Um, which is not something I want to say. Like, I'd love to be able to say, like, I'm friends with a bunch of firefighters and EMTs, but I hate when they come over because it's embarrassing. It sucks. Um, so when they came over that night, um, they boosted me up by my arms, and I had no leg strength. Like, when they let go of me on my walker, I could hold myself up with my arms and kind of get my feet on the ground, but they weren't moving. Um, Sat back down, got me the sheet to pick me up to put me on the chair. Unfortunately, with just the two of them, that didn't work, and I ended up on the floor. Right? So then two more people showed up, all four of them, and they brought a blanket that has handles. It's called a mega mover. And if any of you end up on the floor, ask for the mega mover. Um, they just picked me up, put me in my wheelchair. Melissa wheeled me to the back where, the bedroom where I go. And then, oh, by the way, this was 7 o'clock at night that this was happening. Or 7 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever you want to call it. So they got me up in my chair, and I decided at that time I wanted to go to bed, or at least be in the bedroom. So they had to put me on a fucking backboard and lay me down and pick me up. The look on Melissa's face is something I never want to see again. She was so sad. She was so hurt. And I was just trying to be like, it's okay, sweetheart. Like, they got me. So then, I'm in bed. It's 7 o'clock. I just fall asleep. I wake up at like 10:30, do like my nighttime stuff, and I go right back to bed until the next day. Um, then it was like the day, like the next day, so this would be like Friday or when the hell ever. I couldn't get out of my office chair. So another blanket into my chair. So now what happens is after dinner, I go around the house. I get in my power chair. I drive around. I put my legs up to get some of that circulation going, um, and do those things. But I'm I've become an early go to bed person in the past couple of years. I worked at a bar for a decade. What's this going to bed at 10 p.m.? Like the sun is still out sometimes. Like I'm used to walking on the building and the sun coming up. Um, but yeah, another blanket, another help, another carry. And then last night I couldn't get off the couch again. So again, I'm getting the lift assist recliner, which I think is going to be just really great for me. And also just learning, getting more leg strength back, which is just kind of something that's happening anyway. Doctor gave me that 5 days of steroids. You know what I mean? Like those great 5 days where you love it, and then you stop
Yep.
taking them, and then you hate it again.
Yep.
Uh, so then, hi Karen. Um, Good to see you. I've been wondering about you myself, actually. Um, so the one last night, I was in my wheelchair. I was already in the back. Knock at the door. They come in. Well, where's John? He's not on the couch or in the bathroom. Is he okay? Like, yeah, we're just back in the bedroom. So all I had to do is pick me up by my shoulders, turn me around, sit me down, and get me straightened out. So that was the easiest one of the five, but I think it's because as of like last night, I got over it. Like I got over that sadness and embarrassment. Um, because you know how we all cope with bad things is through humor, right? I don't know about you guys, but I do. So last week I started trying to charge the EMTs. Like, I'm naked, you're getting the whole show.
They're
That's gonna be
used to
five
that
dollars
as
for
an
you.
EMT.
Yeah. Um, I told them they're gonna have a fall during like the afternoon so that we can have hot dogs with them. As a job well done. Um, but a lot of that doesn't really help at all, does it? Because I'm just covering up how sad I am. And it's gotten
Hey,
tough.
John,
What's
just a
that?
quick question. I just have a quick question. Has anybody introduced you to a slide board?
What now?
A slide board?
No.
That's how I transfer is on a slide board.
I'm
Um,
going on Google right now and just gonna have that Google search there.
yeah. Um,
Me
I'm
too.
surprised because you've been doing some like physical therapy and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. But during the
I'm su-
winter it got kind of bad, like for just
right,
driving. And then I'm still
right.
waiting for them to call back to get back on that idea.
But yeah, I'm just, that's how I transfer from my
Okay.
chair to like my bed or like from my chair to not necessarily toilet because I have the ADA toilet.
Yeah.
So they sit up higher
Yeah.
and I can just slide, from my wheelchair onto the toilet seat.
Um,
But
yeah.
the
I'm
slide
looking at
board,
them right now.
You
the
have to
slide
have
board
a
is
certain amount
amazing.
of upper body strength to use a
Yeah.
slide board, and you have to have some trunk control to use a slide board. And that was one thing I was going to say, John, and I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy. But if
Mhm.
you don't have your legs under you, that was a problem for me with a lift chair. That
Yeah.
when it lifted and my legs were under me, it was problematic. So
Okay.
hopefully, you'll have like Christy was saying, you'll have some therapy just to work on making sure that your legs are planted under you because you
I
don't want to get
yeah.
into a pickle because of the lift there.
Right.
So
You just need
I can
to make
lift
sure you have.
I can lift myself off my chair like high enough that I'm kind of bent down.
Okay.
But yeah, I like absolutely I understand what you guys are saying. And Jennifer, I'm keeping the receipt, okay? For
Yeah.
just in case. And then we'll go out to a nice dinner, just you and I.
Yeah.
Dan, yeah.
And the other thing is, have you looked into a Hoyer lift? And then Jessica,
Yeah.
I will stop talking because I see your hand is raised, but I'm a
My
in.
my I'm getting fitted for my Hoyer lift on Thursday.
Okay.
I
Nice.
have insanely good insurance through my wife who's a like college teacher.
Right.
And I don't know what you'd call this person, but she's like my caseworker, the liaison between me.
Case manager.
Say,
A
see,
case
Karen,
manager. I remember
so
you
my
talked about that before.
so my case manager, I just gave her a call. I'm like, hey, it's been sucking the past couple days. We need to talk about a Hoyer lift. And she said, I thought you had one of those. Like, no. Well, I'll fit you for one next Thursday, and then we'll go from there.
Right.
So
Heck
yes,
yeah.
Jennifer. Thank you though.
Yeah.
Can I say something? You know, it's timely. I got a call I had to take for a while, but and I'll go whatever if I get a turn. But I wanted to talk today about ask people in wheelchairs. I don't know why, Christy, you look fine. I don't think of you as a person in a wheelchair. You know, like
You want to
because
talk to my legs?
you
They'll
know
tell you a
because
different story.
yeah, you know, and I was thinking of Frank, and you know, I mean, also Jennifer. You know, it's helpful in some way, but like you say, that upper body strength. You know, that I'm losing more and more function, and I'm also getting emails from people I know because I'm older than most of you, and somebody you know had surgery, and she's like, how do I get around? You know, how do I get around with stuff? Or Rick, I went to the last AnCan, whatever, Solo Arts Heal, and this woman was saying, you know, I can't get around. And we don't do enough sharing about these things, you know. And I've been meaning to email a picture to this woman about my wonderful walker setup. You know, nobody tells you about these things, you know, or a slide board. I know about it, but we, you know, for us to share and can you stand? Like I don't know, can Frank stand? I don't know. You know, how do you transfer? How do you know what's going to happen to me when I can't get up and get and all that? So I'm glad you brought it up, John.
Yeah, it's definitely a big thing. And you said Christy doesn't look like she's in a wheelchair. I was gonna say, Christy, are you sitting on your chair? So that would give it away for
I don't
me.
know if you can see it.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like I didn't know for years about Frank, for at least like a year and a half with Frank. And one day I thought, I think he's in a wheelchair because he's always like just planted there like that. And then one day he got a phone call and he was moving back and he was rolling around in his chair. I'm in my office chair. And I thought, oh, he is in a wheelchair. But there's not, you know, it's hard to feel like, oh, let's talk about it, especially people that aren't in a wheelchair, aren't headed there. That I know for me, it was just really refreshing to hear that woman say, you know, it's coming sooner than I want, because that's what's happening to me. Anyway, I'm
we
glad
are
you brought it up, John.
You kind of
we are
nailed it,
currently
Karen.
we're
Sorry.
in the process of planning out 5 years right now. Where am I going to be in 5 years? Of course, they'll have the cure by then, and I'll be hanging out with you guys. You know, again, we're going someplace warmish, but not hot. We're
Oh,
gonna
not too hot. All right.
you're right. Like we're not
But
going
there's
to
got to be
Texas.
a pool. We're going to go
There
swimming. We're going to take
there needs to be
walks.
a
We're going to have
pool,
a dance.
and then another thing is we're going to have poolside drink service. I want a pina colada while I swim. Call me bougie, but that sounds like fun. So thank you everyone for listening to me. I appreciate it. Kim, back to you. Thank you again.
I wanted to hear what
Oh,
Jessica
John,
wanted to say. You're
Jennifer and I think were reading minds because I was actually typing in the chat box. Have you heard of a Hoyer lift? I worked in the hospital, so I have a lot of experience with helping patients get out of their bed. And John, I was actually also going to recommend, if you aren't aware of this as well, there's this machine, and for anyone else too, it's you can sit in a bed and you hold on to this thing and it helps you stand, and then you can actually stand while sitting. I don't know how to explain it, but you can actually you can be wheeled around, so it's easy to sit back down when you need to sit in another chair and so forth.
Are
But
you
definitely,
talking about like a sit to stand, Jessica?
yeah, I literally was trying to Google, trying to figure out what it was so I can put a link in the chat so everyone can see what I'm talking about. But I love that when I was working in the hospital. I was so excited every time I got to use it for a patient, because they were so excited to be able to be wheeled around and go to their next destination. So
I would Google sit to stand. I mean, just I have a sit to stand that like will scoop you up. Jessica, are you talking from like a chair and you put like a belt around you and it'll okay. Sit to stand.
I don't. The ones we used didn't have a belt, but like it would have like pads that as soon as you stood up, it would like you put like pads behind you to sit. But
Mhm.
there wasn't any straps or anything. But it was pretty secure. Like the things behind you would not move that were holding your body up.
Is
I
it
got
something?
I got like I because Dan and I bought one and I'm cheap, but it's safe enough. But if you have a lot of money, Jessica, I would love to have the piece of equipment you're talking, but equipment is not cheap.
Thank you, Jessica. Um, the one that I have right now, it looks honestly, it's like an ejection seat. You know, it kind of looks like something a Wile E. Coyote would use. And like the only thing I don't like about it is like I would have to sit on it for the entire time that I'm sitting. I don't know if that would be comfortable or not. Um, but yeah, I know what you guys are talking about. Thank you for the link, Jessica. Awesome. Thank you again,
Is
everyone.
It's
can I ask you, Christy, because you know I saw I don't know if I saw you in a wheelchair, but I saw you sitting when I first met you. But so can you still stand on your legs?
Um, my left leg has a little bit of muscle tone in it, but since I've been sitting for so long, um, it doesn't want to go straight. So that's something I'm working on with physical therapy. And then my right leg is my problem child that I still have spasticity in. And if I straighten it too much, then it causes spasms. And that's another thing we're working on in physical therapy, but also working with my pump doctor. Actually, I got it increased today, so I'm now over 300. So we're going to see how that goes. But, the doctor said everybody's different on their therapeutic level. He said some of his patients have gone up as far as 900. He's like, I don't think that you'll have to go up to 900, but he's like, hopefully not. But I'm hoping that I can hit my therapeutic level um, somewhere in the next 100 micrograms. That's what I'm hoping, because having to go in every other week to get it adjusted is just a pain in the butt. And then once we find my therapeutic level and I have to have it refilled, I'll go in one last time into the office, and then going forward, every 3 months they'll send a nurse out to my house to uh, drain it and refill it. Um, so that will be nice that somebody will come to me. It's nice when people will come to me because I live in a rural area, so I don't have a lot of people who would want to come out and do like in-home physical therapy or occupational therapy or anything like that. So I have to go to everybody else.
Christy, can I
So
just ask, how have you found like the side effects, or how has it impacted you? You've adjusted to it? I see you looking great.
um, I haven't really had a lot of side effects.
Good.
The only
Has it
thing
made you
that
tired or
baclofen is, it it's prone to make you tired. But just since not this last weekend, the weekend before, I got sick. So I've been sleeping a lot. So my husband's like, "Oh, I think it's because of the baclofen refill or titrated it up." And I'm like, "No, I'm sick. I just want to sleep because I'm not feeling good." But yeah, the first like day or two, yeah, it kind of kicks my ass a little bit. And that
Good. I'm
is
glad to hear
basically
that it
because
hasn't.
I'm adjusting to the increase.
Yeah.
My
Good.
body's just like, "Oh, we have a new thing going on right now. Let's make you sleep until we get used to it." So I do doze off every once in a while. It's not as bad as when I was on baclofen and tizanidine, to where people would be talking to me and I'm like mid sentence, I'm conked out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot better now. Um, I'm still tired, but that comes with MS. Um, and yeah, but it's going a lot better. I'm not so overwhelmed. I think with the physical therapy and the pump has helped out quite a bit with me not feeling so overwhelmed all the time and feeling like not like a woe is me. It's well shit. Am I gonna get any better? Because this just driving me nuts. I feel like it's not going anywhere. Whereas now I do. Sorry, I'm a little cold, so I'm shivering. um, but now I am seeing little baby steps in progress. So that's kind of made me feel a little bit better about the decision I made about getting the pump and all this physical therapy and I'm just anymore I think that you should see a physical therapist first before you go see a doctor, because you go see the doctor and the first thing they say is you need physical therapy. So it's just like people should just start at physical therapy and then let them determine whether or not you need a doctor or you need them. So it's starting to hail out here. Yay. Sorry. Um, but yeah, it's going a lot better. Thank you for asking, Carmen.
I'm glad to hear. Thanks for sharing. John, I'm just wondering if you've been sick too, because like that just does me in. I know right away if I have weakness, like I'm getting something or like I'm fighting something, and sure enough, a day or two later, there I am just knocked down with a bad cold or whatever. Just sucks.
That is what my primary care asked. That is what my neurologist asked. Like, are you just getting sick because when you start to get sick, you get weak? I was like, no, I'm not. I don't feel sick at all. Got to whatever. Um, but luckily, I get to see my neurologist on Friday, and she's one of my favorite humans. So we talk all
You
about
haven't
this.
fired her yet?
I haven't fired her yet.
Yeah.
I'm staying with her until one of us dies. And I tell her that every time I see her.
That's how I feel
She's
about my neuro.
yeah, it's we were a really good fit from day one, and we continue to work very well together. Um,
That's awesome.
she gets my sense of humor, and she loves that I'm so open about what I talk about with MS. She likes that, and she also likes being able to talk science with me, like super deep science. I mean, she makes like we have to make our appointments at Fridays at 2, so we are the last patient there before she gets the weekend. Because we're great. We have such a good mutual understanding relationship. So that's very cool.
I was
For
going to
all
tell you,
those
John.
What was that?
I was just going to tell you, if you get a slide board and you decide to go that route, this was the first mistake I made when I got mine. Is I got mine just a solid slide board, which I wish I had gotten the slide board here. Like, it's just a solid one. That's the
Yeah.
bottom. They have ones with like cutouts that you can grab, and they have like side cutouts. Get one with cutouts so that
Oh
you're
yeah.
able to, extend enough so you can get it under your butt. Otherwise, because I struggle with this,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
jammed under my ass so that I can slide over. But yeah, that's my one suggestion if you go the
Okay.
slide board route.
And make sure it's finished so I don't get splinters.
Oh, they're all finished.
But
I would go with
I
the
always
plastic
wonder,
one.
they always seem to be wood. I always wondered about that too.
Yeah, this is all finished. But they have plastic ones too. So if you find a plastic one, go with the plastic because they're easier to clean.
Yes. Yes.
So
And find
that
out
was
if
my other.
they have like giveaways, like I usually find a lot of things for free. Not everything, but those are the kind of things like somebody got one and they didn't have grip, so they're getting rid of it. Somebody got a foot brace, but they can't even walk anymore, so they don't need the foot brace.
Some of the DME that I've gotten was from one of Melissa's coworkers whose husband passed away from ALS. So like I do have some things, but he was not a man of my size. He was just a frail little thing. So a lot of his things are just frail little things. But the coworker, she just knows a lot about lifting and moving around and stuff like that. So it's cool. She has recommendations as well. Thank you,
I know
everyone.
I know someone with ALS. I mean, I don't know her really well. I know her from something a long time ago and other people, and we know people. And I was at a memorial last year, and I found out she had ALS, but she had this really spiffy, wheelchair, and she's got a van, and someone I think gave her the van, or she got it really cheap, and I feel like a vulture. And a friend lives near her partner, and I feel like a vulture, like, so what's going to happen with that equipment when she's gone? Like, I don't need it yet, but who else is going to get it? And I was like, okay, but I don't have ALS, but I do feel like a vulture.
All right,
Does
I'm all good.
anyone else have any comments before we go on to the next? Anything else anyone want to add?
I want to add with John when you said, because, we've all come here and talked about the horrors of this medical appointment and that person, and
Yeah.
how amazing my primary care provider is with me. And she's been doing body work on me. And I really had to like really open up stretch her comfort zone. Like it's even more, sometimes you just have that zen right away. Well, we didn't, but we've really, come to just so appreciate one another. And I went last week and she said, I always tell my partner about you, the things you've had to go through. So I wanted to cry because I was like, she doesn't talk like that. She's not usually open. And I just was like, I wouldn't let her finish. I wanted to cry. And she said, I'm just the things you had to go through. And I'm so, because she's just so fed up with the medical system because they don't appreciate the osteopathic manipulation and how it helps with the whole body, mind, spirit. And I document what happens. I leave there. I feel lighter. I feel straighter. It helps me. I was so crooked. I went in to see her and I said, I'm all like, I wake up with back pain. And she goes, that's because you're all like this, because I have that weakness. And she straightened me out. And for a week now, I haven't woken up with pain, but she can't see me for 6 weeks because she sees me really on her own time. Like, Kaiser gets paid for the visit, but they like get him in, get him out. And she needs 30 minutes. Or when she does make that appointment with me, it's at the end of her. I'm surprised they even let her see me because I go at 10 to 5. The whole clinic's closed. Nobody's there. and she just really does it on her own time because she believes in it. And I said, I can't believe they don't honor, your training and what it does. And she said, I know when I pay off my school loans, I don't think I'm going to continue. You can't leave me. But to have those happy stories, it's just amazing. Like,
Yeah, I'm honestly like, we can say like, oh, we're so unlucky that, we caught this disease, or however you want to think about it. And honestly, there are days where I'm not like a real smiler, where days are just shit. Um, but I've luckily landed in a good spot with my healthcare.
did you just land there right away? Like for me, I do appreciate my healthcare team. And it's like, no, I had to swat away a lot of flies. I had to do like, and you have to work on it. And when sometimes something doesn't feel right, like, wait, clinically, am I getting good advice? Can I make this work for me? That's
My first ever primary care, I knew as a friend before I got insurance. Like we would smoke cigars together, things like that, play Dungeons and Dragons.
and
I'm like, hey, I've
whiskey.
got insurance now. You're going to be my doctor. He's like, oh, okay, cool. Come on in, shoes. That's one of my nicknames. And yeah, right from then, we did like the regular stuff. Then I went to him in January of 2016. I was like, hey, I'm having balance issues. This hurts, that hurts, is what's going on. And looking back now with some of the medicines he prescribed, he knew very early on that it was MS. We just had to start eliminating some other things. So I really got lucky to be onset of symptoms, diagnosis, and treatment within a year.
I had the opposite. I went to a music
Right.
party a few years back, and I'm in the kitchen. I was like, all right, I'm going to cut up the pineapple, as food. And I'm sitting across from this woman, and she's looking at me, and she says, you seem familiar. And I looked at her, and I was like, yeah, you're my physical therapist. I was like, oops. I mean, you're not my real therapist. Like it was just oops. And then I had some issues, and I wanted to go back to her, and I said, is it okay? Now that we're like in a social thing, but that's sort of the opposite. That was funny.
Karen, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself since you came in later, and then we'll
I
go
know.
to
I
Jessica
kind
with.
of know everybody, or I met everyone except Marie and Jessica. Have we been in the same room together? I'm Karen. I live in Oakland, and I was diagnosed in. Help me, people, because I can't remember anymore. But I was diagnosed in 2019, January 2019. Within a few months, actually, of going, what's wrong with me? But I had symptoms for more than 20 years, and active symptoms at least 6 or 7 years before that. And I'm in my 70s, and there's no treatment for me. And I keep saying it to everyone, including you all, that I keep losing function. I keep losing more function. I keep losing more function. And everybody's like, you seem fine to me. And I know there's nobody in this room today or whoever comes in here that I would ever say, you seem fine to me, without knowing.
Are you on no treatment at all, Karen?
No, there's nothing really for me at my age.
I'm surprised that they won't even put you on something, though.
Oh, if I want to poison myself with Ocrevus, but it's not likely to help. I mean, they have
Mm.
statistics, and they said there's a less than 15% chance that it might slow down the disease. A less than 15% chance that it might. And I had met with the neuropsychologist, and they study statistics. He goes, well, that's almost like less than 50% chance that it might. It's like that's not an odd. And nobody ever asked me if I wanted to slow down the disease. I mean, if that's all that I'm going to get out of it is like a little bit more slowed down disease, that wasn't
To
even a question.
to quote Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber, so you're saying there's still a chance, which is what I would go off. A 50% chance would be like, oh, okay, let's give it a whirl. But I understand where you're coming from, Karen. I really really do. I really appreciate your honesty about that. Like, what would it do for me? So
Well,
that's
it was a real mind fuck. It's not on TV, right? I can say that word because the neurologist that I do have, she was the first opinion. Well, I had a neurologist, but I can't call it an opinion because even though I had positive oligoclonal glands and all the symptoms of the age and primary progressive, I didn't mention that's what I have, primary progressive. Um, and then I finally went to a neurologist, an MS specialist, but he told me I don't have MS, so I didn't understand why am I going to an MS specialist and why do you have it? They're asking me all these things that why would you, have you ever been diagnosed with it? Have you ever had all these symptoms? It's like why are they asking me things? What is optical neuritis? I don't understand. And then when I finally went to her, she's like, I'm gonna say because of the, everything you have primary progressive MS. And I was like, I don't know what I'm hearing. I thought I would go in there and say, hey, I'm having trouble with balance. Can I have like maybe prednisone or something like that to help me? And I had to drive back from San Francisco and I came home and I said, I have permanent progressive multiple sclerosis. That's what I called it. And I don't know why they don't call it that because that's what it is. It's permanent, it's progressive, it's multiple sclerosis. I say, I have atrophy. Now I say that because people don't understand. Oh, I know someone has MS. No, I have atrophy. I have atrophy of the muscles. I have atrophy of the whole muscular, the whole neurological system. It affects every part of my body, but it's atrophy. Because people say to me now, oh, you've lost weight. And it's like, yeah, 20 pounds of 20 pounds of muscle in my right leg. And I'm walking around, dragging around this dead weight on a left foot that works still, but won't. And it's so frustrating. And the whole cognitive thing, it's something I wanted to share rather than even, I did want to ask about, but it turned out the conversation was there anyway about wheelchairs and mobility devices and whatever. But I found a good analogy because where I live in Oakland, there's potholes everywhere and they don't fix them. And I think the whole, when you explain to people, what do you mean cognitive? I mean, even my beloved doctor goes, what do you mean? And that's like, because it's not dementia. It's not dementia. I said, it's like potholes. It's like you got potholes in your brain. There's a road. You can go down this road and you're going to eventually get there, but it's going to take a really long time. You might have to take a detour because you can't even get your car into that. And finally, the message comes through and that's how you live your life every day. It's like, oh, I opened the cabinet. What was I looking for? Oh, everybody has it because my age, in my 70s. Oh, everyone has that. And it's like, no, everyone doesn't have a brain disease. And they're not hauling around dead weight and they're not watching themselves deteriorate and atrophy. Just, if I can live with it, can't you? Well, isn't there something, you can, but I think that analogy of the potholes in the brain is really.
That's a good one.
Let's head over to Jessica.
Sorry, I feel like I'm going to bring a lot of positive energy to this conversation. So I first wanted to say thank you to those on the last call I was on, which I think was actually last year. We had a discussion about handicap stickers, and within that month, I had my next Ocrevus treatment, and I asked for a handicap sticker, and they were like, "Yeah," and I got it within a few days. So now I have a sticker. I'm really excited about it. I was bragging to my mom. I was like, "Mom, now when you come down, you don't have to bring yours because I have mine you can use." Um, so that was really awesome. And then at my job, there was a discussion about FMLA leave, and they talked about how if you're eligible for it. And I remember seeing in that call before months ago, and I was like, "Oh, this doesn't pertain to me." I listened to it, but it went in one ear, not the other. And then the second time I heard it, it clicked. It said I was like, Jessica, you need to request FMLA leave when I get my Ocrevus treatments because that knocks me out for 2 days. And so I had a call and I requested it, and immediately, yes, you're approved. Got all the paperwork done within a week. Already started FMLA leave. So I felt extremely lucky that I was able to reach out to my providers and get everything done immediately. Um, and then get all the paperwork signed, and my manager having no issues. She was excited that I was able to get it. So really having that support system at work, I felt very lucky about it. Um, and then there was something else, and now I'm blanking. The potholes, Karen. The potholes are coming through. um, what else? I started my Ocrevus treatment at the spring of 2022. And actually, a few days before I started my treatment, I had my second relapse, um, which was really scary. It was the first time I've ever had tingling in my entire body. And it was extremely difficult to work while having tingling in my whole body because I could not focus on anything besides that. So I was really lucky that during my treatment they gave me a very high dose of steroids and immediately it went away. And since, what was it, March of 2022, I haven't had any relapses, which is really exciting. But I always wake up every morning and I'm like, I can walk. I feel really good. I'm excited for the rest of the day, not knowing what tomorrow brings me. Um, so I think that's all I have for now. But I just really wanted to thank everyone for letting me know there's possibilities out there of things I'm not aware of that I'm able to do, and then I can request from my providers. And I'm also very fortunate with my providers too. I was I had my first my first official relapse, and within 3 weeks I was diagnosed with MS, and within 2 months started Ocrevus. So it all happened very, very, very quickly for me. And my MS doctor, who is also a neurologist, um, emphasized you need a primary care doctor. I said I don't want one. I don't feel the need to have one. I had really bad experiences with my pediatrician growing up, so I felt the same, that I didn't have a need for it. And I went in with a mindset of, if this primary care doctor has never worked with a MS patient, I'm moving on to the next. I will doctor search until I can get one that will work with me and knows how to treat MS patients. So she saw that I was on Ocrevus and walked in, and she was like, "Yeah, I saw you're on Ocrevus. I am too." And I started bawling in the doctor's office because my primary care physician, the first one I've ever had that actually listened to me, had MS as well. So I go in my appointment. She doesn't do a regular physical with me. We just have conversations about how our treatment is going and so forth. And when I get my Ocrevus treatments, I get a lot of blood work taken. So she evaluates that. So she doesn't make me get additional blood work taken. So I'm very, very thankful with how I was diagnosed, but also the team that I have I can work with, and that I know I can rely on them, and they understand where I'm coming from. So sorry, that was a mouthful, but that's it for me.
We're glad to hear that. Where are you, since I missed the intro? Where do you live?
I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia, but I'm from the Washington D.C. area originally.
How awesome to get a primary care provider that completely understands MS because she has it. Wow.
I told myself I actually moved to Atlanta to go to grad school, and I told myself I'm not going to stay here for long after grad school. Little did I know I was going to get diagnosed with MS and have a really, really good um, like doctors that support me. And I'm like, should I really now move out to Georgia? I really want to, but I really don't want to because I have this support system and all my doctors are here. So I'm like, can you guys virtually meet me online in another state if needed? So
And it also gives you a really strong message as someone who's relatively newly diagnosed to see a doctor, someone living with MS that can care for other people in a really high stress environment. You don't see somebody with MS curled up in a ball in a corner somewhere. She's a doctor. Plus, she's a woman. So that's like double whammy. That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that.
And she's not afraid to share that with you. I mean, many of my providers are more open. It's weird that my primary isn't, because she's really great, we just realize we just come from different cultures, she's Asian American, and I said to her, all my providers are Chung Chao Chu, Chung Chao Chu Chin and Hui. And she started to laugh, and like, I didn't, to me, it's just, and then I said, I don't know why it's funny to you, but I laughed with another friend who's like in her 80s, and we're from New York. And she said, well, when we were growing up, like all the doctors were like Goldberg and Goldstein, they were all like Jewish doctors. So I said, I bet when you were growing up, you never thought. I said, I never would have thought when I grew, when I'm older, that all my doctors are going to be Asian. And I said, and I'm sure you never expected to have a cranky Jewish like woman as a patient. Just
This group isn't silent very often.
I like to have the lags in case someone who doesn't normally talk has a chance to come in.
It's a very good tactic.
Or else sometimes some of us dominate, so it gives others a chance to speak up if they like.
Anybody got some advice on how to primary shop other than just go
I
dark?
don't know, Jessica, have her pick it up for you. She seems to know how to do it.
I had the one time luck. I would not use me as a suggestion to find one. I did not know my primary care doctor had MS until I met with her. I actually was going to go to a different primary care doctor, but she didn't have any availability for another month. And I was like, oh, this one has availability tomorrow. Let me just go with this one. So it was pure out of luck.
I like to ask people who are in the healthcare field who work with them, or know, because you kind of know what the good doctors and not who to stay away from. So if you know anyone in the healthcare field that can get you started, that's always a good place to start. Just who knows someone who does works that.
I read bios. I read a ton of bios because my primary left the system, and I read a bunch of bios, and 90% of them, and you could be wrong anyway. You can read a bio and go, I don't know. But I knew that I had something musculoskeletal, even though I'm a nurse. I couldn't imagine it's neurological, that I'm walking funny. Why would that be neurological? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I wasn't trained to do that. And my former primary didn't. A chiropractor said, why don't you go to acupuncturist? It's like, why don't you people know these things? How would I know? So I just read all these bios, and some of it, I don't know, women, we do trust our instincts more, I think. We just have that gut feeling. So I read all these bios, and I wanted to go to Alameda, not Oakland, because it's smaller. And to dance was important to me, and she like laughs. I'm probably the only patient that ever picked her for this reason, because she said she does hip hop dancing. I'm like, okay, that's somebody who can understand what it's like to have, a dance practice and not be able to do it. And that's kind of why I got to her. And we didn't hit it off right away. So there's the doctor shopping, but then it's also clinically, are you getting the right information? Because even the first neurologist, I had a good rapport with him, but he gave me wrong clinical information. That was bad. But then the neurologist, she was great when I met her. And then we had little bad things, because you have, this MS, it affects you emotionally, cognitively, and all that. But for me, it's like clinically, am I getting correct information? Is that person clinically giving me good direction, or are they really nice, but they're saying stupid things to me? So I don't know. That would be, if you can read their bios, at least if it somehow speaks to you. But I got lots of referrals for lots of things, and I read everybody's bio at Kaiser. They have it. I don't know if they do at the other one. And I could tell you just about every doctor. They go, and in my spare time, I like to go hiking and travel and go to different restaurants. Like everybody had that in there. I don't know. Did that help at all,
Yeah, that's
Marlo?
all I've focused on is bios.
Is what?
Is the is their bio.
Yeah.
They
And
also
so,
have websites where people can rate their doctors. You have to take it with a grain of salt. And I like just looking at Google reviews. You Google the doctor and you actually read the Google reviews. Like I said, it's a grain of salt. Something they're just, you know, just really upset for something. But you can kind of get a vibe like, this person I might want to stay away from. Like, oh wow, this person I might want to check out and just take a risk.
And there's also, like my doctor, it just turned out that she really started in January of that year, of the year in 2018, and I met her in August. And one could say, well, I don't want to be with somebody who's newly out of school or what, that just. And I had that with a gynecologist like years and years ago. It's like I got an appointment for a gynecologist and they said resident. And I said to her, well, why did I get a resident? Even though I didn't have GYN issues, but I'm a woman. And she said, well, I am a resident, but I am going to stay here. And she was my gynecologist for 35 years. So sometimes it's good, especially at our age, Marlo, to get somebody young because they might stick around for a while. Yeah, I just think you have to just trust this feels right. And then you go and you're like, this doesn't feel right. And then I still would have to assess, well, what is it I didn't like? I don't need warm and fuzzy. I want to know, are you paying attention to my needs clinically? I come here for warm and fuzzy, everybody.
Or you could try calling the MS Society, the MS Navigator. They might have some suggestions. That's how I
For
found my
primary?
the MS Navigator. Yeah,
For,
they have suggestions for everything. That's how I found my physical therapist.
oh, nice. Thanks.
Mm.
Karen, you had said something earlier. I just heard part of it about wheelchair and rollator or something. Were you talking about equipment and using it
Oh,
or
yeah, because
adapting to?
I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know. It's hard to show it on the screen, but I realize it's brilliant and nobody tells you about these things. But I rigged up my rollator. I don't know. Can you see? I rigged up my
We, we,
rollator.
we can see it, yeah.
I put this basket on here and I put a tray on top. I never put things inside. I mean, I could, but it's just a cooking tray. I was going to look for something pretty and I was going to look. I went to the thrift store to find, because I started with like plastic baskets and different things. And I had these extra baskets and then this thing fit on there. And I realized, oh no, and it's beautiful and it looks good. And
Perfect.
why doesn't someone tell you this? How are you going to, you pour your tea. How are you going to get your food from the refrigerator and move things around? Nobody ever talked to me about it. And there's some stupid little thing you can buy for $250. It's smaller than this. It's lighter than this. And it has a little tray on it. Well, really, like why?
I have a wooden tray that I put on my seat too, so that I can
But it's
carry
on the
dishes
seat,
back and
on the
forth.
seat. That's too low
Yeah.
down. This is like, it's just up here
Mm-hmm.
where,
Yeah.
and somebody was giving this away on Craigslist. I mean, my whole budget, I have a stable of rollators, and my whole budget is like $0 to $10 for a rollator. And and I remember the embarrassment of, oh my God, a rollator. I don't want to have one of those. Oh my God, and now it's like my best friend.
Yeah, when you realize how it can help you keep safe and get you places, it does become your friend.
But I'm just surprised how just yesterday I got an email, on a group email for someone who said she had surgery, she had this, how am I supposed to get my food from here to there? It's like that. There's just so much with equipment that nobody tells you about. That's why I'm hoping we can more, ask about those things and share. Some of it you don't even know. You don't even know if you can ask. You didn't think about. I didn't think about it until I fell flat on my face and had a black eye. when I had food and I was starving and I fell flat on my face. And the reason I know I fell flat on my face is I had this food and it was Mexican food and I was starving and I wanted to eat and I fell and I went, oh, damn, what about my food? And I saw that the tray slipped because I landed flat on my face, which I didn't know, but the food was like, the plate went like that. And I'm like, I got the food. It got a little messy, but I could still eat. I know, and I got that picture of me with that horrible black eye. And I tell people all the time about rollators, or I'm out because I look too young to have a rollator, or my friend had a stroke, and they're like, I don't want to be seen with a rollator. I'm like, I do. And at first I didn't want to. I go to the grocery store and grab a cart and I can hang on to it. And then people don't know, and so now I got the rollator. It's like, stand back, we got a problem here.
Like you get the aisle you deserve.
Right. I'm embarrassed sometimes. People make me go ahead of them in the grocery store. It's like, I got a seat. I'm good. Like, I got nowhere to be. I don't have a job. I don't have a life.
I just wish things were already like built in. Like, for example, why aren't doorways already wide? Like, why aren't we building houses with wide doorways? Like, why is this
Hmm.
like if you're in a normal house and then you have to be, start to use a wheelchair or walk, like it's ridiculous. Like you have to spend an obscene amount of money to upgrade everything, or it's just like I have to move, and it's drives me insane. Like we should be past this. Everything should be easy. It shouldn't be so
Universal design.
yeah. It should be so universal. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking. It should be
Called
more
universal
universal.
design.
Everything should
So
be more
But
universal.
here's the
because,
thing that's
Kim,
happening.
nobody wants to face the fact that disability could happen to us all. We're
It would
more
just make
reactive than proactive.
it would just make
Not
so much
until you're disabled do you want to even think about it.
it just makes so much more sense. Like my reflexologist, her house, she doesn't have steps into her house. It's like a ramp. It's all built in the landscape. It's beautiful. And and it's just like this is what I'm like, can I take pictures? And it's just I just want it that way where it's just already built in for like live it, stay in, what do they call it when you retire and you want to what do they call it? Is it
Aging in place. Aging in place.
Asian
Well,
Asian place? Yeah.
you're lucky enough, Kim, because you're old enough. I mean, you're young enough because I still see the denial around me about what's going on with me, or people just think, oh, she has a mobility problem. It's like, yeah, I don't really talk about the incontinence. I don't really talk about how, my vision gets blurry. I don't talk about, fatigue. I don't talk about most of it. And I'm a big talker. And even when I talk about it, people go, well, you seem fine to me. You just seem fine to me. I was actually, looking forward to coming here because I was grieving a lot and feeling really bad. But I hate to break it to you, Jessica, but I'm feeling good today. We're happy when we have those moments of, we can get a win. But so, in not even 10 years, because every other person, just like I heard from someone I know, and she's younger than me, she said, oh, I had this and I broke my leg and I don't have anyone to help me. And how am I going to do this? And you don't have to have MS to get a disability, but aging, you know, it's they're there. And Judy Heumann, we talked about her, who started the World Institute on Disability, and she died recently. But I met her because she was on the board where I worked at the Over 60 Health Center that was started by the Gray Panthers. And she saw that back then there's that connection with aging and disability. And, like you say, Jennifer, you don't think it's going to you don't think it's going to happen to you. And even when I got diagnosed, I'd read about these people, you go to the neurologist and you see these people in wheelchairs and you're like, well, I'm still walking. I'm not like that. That's not going to happen to me. I don't want to.
But Karen, which way? I mean, I was diagnosed and my progression was quick. and I was diagnosed 25 years ago. And I still, I've been in a wheelchair for 21 years, and I still hold the hope that I'm going to walk again. And I think it's fantastic that people are diagnosed now and they have the drugs that we didn't have, and that they keep the hope. And I think if you look at it like, oh my God, I'm going to wind up in a wheelchair, is there a certain amount of self-fulfilling prophecy? I don't know, which way is it better to be when you're newly diagnosed? Ignore the reality, or I honestly, I don't know, Jessica or John, when you're newly diagnosed. I don't know which way it's better to be. Just, you know, do what you can. Do what you
I
can to
think
hold your head up.
what's better to be is what you have. When I got diagnosed, I was told, oh, that's the one you don't want, primary progressive MS. And I feel like, no, I didn't, even though I knew something was wrong with me all these years, that a part of me is, I just, it's really slow. It's really progressive. I don't think I've ever had a relapse, even though the neurologist said you might have had a relapse. You just didn't know it. And they really shouldn't even be all these categories. That's just the drug companies have manufactured that it shouldn't even be that way, that you have MS. It's a progressive disease. Ocrevus and drugs like that, whoever you ambassadors are, it can slow down progression. It can prevent relapses. I don't have that. 2018 is when, again, I had a fall and I knew something's wrong with me, and I had a cold in early 2018, and that's the only time I ever felt maybe that was not a relapse or something, that I had a cold and I was in bed and I couldn't get up, and I just accepted that. I didn't think of it as anything MS related. But in 2018 is when I started seeking, I want answers, something's wrong with me. I just, and then I don't know, to be philosophical or spiritual in some way, and just be with what is, and say, well, what does this mean?
I think for me, the most helpful is to be in the present, because if I'm in the past and I'm depressed, if I'm in the future, then I'm going to have massive anxiety. So the point for me is to be, and also I have cognitive issues, so I can't really be in the past and the present. Past and the future has to be in the present. But I'm very aware that anything could change even if I didn't have MS. So I make sure when I have an opportunity, I do it. So if I have a chance to go travel, yes, I'm going to do that. Okay, do I want to go, can you go scuba diving? Yes, I'm going to go scuba diving. Like, I will do everything. So I will hopefully live with less regret and be like, oh, I did that, versus, oh, I wish I'd done that when I had the chance. Because it just gets, you can still travel and do a lot of things, but it does get tougher. A lot of planning. It's not so easy. You just can't just walk out the door and like, oh, we'll just see what happens. Like, I was at the Tulip Festival in Pella last week, and I was in the old town, and it was just like, I don't, someone who was using a wheelchair could not go in any of these buildings, and even in a walker and a cane, like they're uneven, the stairs are like, it was just like, I didn't get it. Like, I am so exposed to, like, I have so many peers and stuff that use mobility aids that I'm just I'm still don't know what's going on because I don't have it, but I'm more aware. I think I told you guys last time I freaked out at my neurology clinic. What do you mean you don't have a button to exit to get back to the lobby?
Wait, what do you
So
mean you don't have a what? A
so I
what?
took one of my friends who has MS to her neurology appointment a couple weeks ago, and she was using a cane. And to get into the lobby of the neurology, you can hit the buttons on the side of the walls. But to get out, once you check out to get back into the lobby, there's no button. You can't. You just open and it's like, how many of your patients are using a mobility aid in a neurology clinic? Like, this is ridiculous. And
But
then
are you sure? Because sometimes I go places and I think there's nothing there. Oh yeah, well, we put it over there.
nope,
Well,
nope, not on this side. There was no button. So next month, when I see the nurse practitioner there, oh, I'm raising like a monthly thing. Like, okay, so I'm not there yet, guys, but oh my gosh, what WTF? Like, you're a neurology clinic. Like, who do I need to yell at to get this stuff get this stuff in here? Like, this is like 101 how to get your, we're striving to have people as independent as possible, and you're not having the basic tools for your patients to be independently. I was really very livid after that appointment, because I didn't experience it. I had experienced it through her, because I would just park in the parking ramp. I have no problem, going down multiple flights of stairs, walking across the the lawn, and then going up, and then go up a flight of stairs. I don't even use the elevator, because it's just a flight of stairs, so I can do it. And didn't even cross my mind until I'm with someone who was using a cane, and so I'm like, oh, what? This is so wrong, and this is a hospital. This is,
And
and a lot of it. Mhm.
when you're using a cane or you're using a rollator and you're getting weaker and weaker, and people want to send you to the wheelchair section, and it's like, I really rather climb the stairs and hold on to the ramp and have someone carry my walker for me if I can. It's just a longer, 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 longer walk. And I notice everything I have to think, do I want to take those 3 steps to go get a tissue or not? Maybe I'll wait. Maybe I'll just do that. Like, I'm constantly, how I don't have the spoons anymore. But that's another about universal design. And Jennifer was saying about people. It's like, people who are disabled don't just sit in wheelchairs, and it's also, if you have that upper body, if you don't have an electric wheelchair, and you need to use your hand, how much of a ramp do you want to have to?
Yeah.
Well, like in this hospital back in the day, if you needed a blood draw, they did it right there in the clinic. Now you have to go to this one spot in the hospital that it's quicker if you go outside and go up the ramp and go into the entrance. If you stay in the hospital, you're gonna have to walk a really long ways and go on different floors. And so it was just like, when we were done, she had to do blood work. So then I had to drop her off on that level of the parking garage and then find a parking space. And it was just ridiculous. Like, how is she supposed to do this by herself when she has fatigue issues and she was using a cane? Like, this
She
just
looks fine to me, Kim.
it boggled my mind. I was flipping out a little bit. I was flipping out. So, I will be talking to them. I have an appointment next month, so I will be talking to them and like, who do I need to talk to? Because this is not cool. You're the only clinic in Iowa that has an MS specialist, and seriously, you don't have the little button to hit to get out? Are you kidding me? Like, you seriously, blood draws, we have to go clear the other side? Like, this, no, no. You need to
So,
But
figure something.
what
uh,
you're what you're
sorry.
doing, Kim, is what we all need to do. We need to advocate. And when you see something like that, it's like, see something, say something.
Oh,
I went to my church and they didn't have a curb cut. For heaven's sakes, I had to like roll forever to get into church, and I said something, and my pastor I was very lucky, very blessed. Funny choice of words, but
Right.
she put a curb cut in, and it's just, and John, we have state advocacy day in a few weeks. So,
Yep.
that's just Sherry Marlowe. If you want to get involved with Michigan advocacy, just let me know.
And
Um,
I think it's a good thing to say to people, even though I haven't been successful. Like, when I go to the pool, where I say handicap, whatever, the disabled elevator hasn't worked in a year and a half. It's not going to work. And then I have to go in down these steps. But actually, I don't know that I'm stable enough that if I park my walker, I can even get into that elevator thing. But I can't just move over to the slow lane. I don't want to dunk my head, so I have to start out in the middle lane. And sometimes I get snippy, or people say, this is, you're going too slow. It's like, talk to the lifeguard, not me. But when people say things like that, and I said, why don't you, well, you should get in touch with, Karen, should get in touch with, you should maybe threaten to sue them, or what can people do to help me? How about you advocate for me? How about you get in touch with the aquatics department at the city of Oakland? Why don't you ask for that? And then they have a seat, because I'm looking at this. They have a seat by the handicap shower. Well, for one, I'd have to hobble across. So that's kind of stupid. Like I can't people know me now, and they're like, "You want this one where there's a handrail? Do you want to have this shower? Because 5 naked ladies in the shower, sometimes 8 of us, sharing showers." But they have the handicap. It's like a toddler seat, and I've written to the city. I don't have so much energy. This is stupid. This is something that can be fixed, and it still hasn't been fixed. And I am articulate, or I was before I was so cognitively impaired. But I think I have to threaten a lawsuit because if I do continue to go, I'm going to need to sit down, and I can't sit on 2 feet up. It's not ADA compliant. It's just everything is so hard. Everything is so hard. But I'm more saying it out loud to remind myself. People say, "What can I do to help?" How about you advocate for me on this?
Absolutely. So before I knew all of you, except for Jennifer, um, I went to physical therapy in a pool. It was at a health center, and um, from the front door to the pool, it was probably 300 to 400 feet, and then you get to the locker rooms, and then of course they say they're ADA compliant. They've got the blue sticker and everything, but there's no damn handles, you know. And then you get to the pool, which the point where I was getting to was I needed to have the chair lower me in, but that barely ever worked. I actually got stuck on it once when I was getting out. So I feel all of your pain with that, and this is how I reacted. I just started posting like shit posting on Twitter about how their facility isn't compliant and how expensive they are. However, that pool was really nice.
Did you get results, John?
I did. I did. Um, but I went from using my upright walker to having to take a wheelchair to the back because it was too much of an energy sink to do that before I wanted to go and just walk in the pool, you know?
But you're okay rolling in a wheelchair. Like for me, I have to park really far away. Parking because of this pool is in a park, and every time
Sure.
I go, it's harder and harder. And I think, am I going to be able to continue? And yet, and we've had a cold front. I shouldn't complain to people in Michigan, but I haven't been able to go swimming as it's been cold. And when I can go, and the cabin fever just kind of gets to me because I go, and then it helps me maintain my balance, my upper
Yeah.
body. Whatever my doctor does to me, she adjusts me, and it helps me do that. But I go, how am I going to get to the pool from my car? I don't have upper body to roll.
So the way that it would work is we'd pull up in front of the place. Melissa would go inside, grab their wheelchair. Was it? And the wheelchair was a good fit for your size, Karen, not
Yeah.
for a John size. So then we would go back to the changing room, and I still had enough strength in my legs that I could stand for like a couple of minutes, maybe. Get changed, do the pool, get out of the pool, and reverse. So having Melissa and having a wheelchair, it makes it a lot easier for me to go places.
Especially the reverse part, because like I would have so much fatigue. I am a swimmer and I love swimming, but I just can't even bring myself to drag my body to the pool because I'd be exhausted by the time I got into the pool, much less getting out and getting home. Oh
Just
my
from,
God.
just from that. Wow.
Oh,
Because I
oh,
make
I
myself go. But my other, is there's the pool, and then there's a whole social thing that happens there, and I hadn't been going. I hadn't been going, and I needed to get my yard taken care of, and I have all these little, the list is can only multitask two little things, just two little things. So I kind of knocked out all these things, and I thought, I have to get my yard cleaned up, and it's a lot to it. And when I get done with swimming, I'm going to tackle this list of people to call. And I got there, and one of my swim buddies, he's a fireman, but he left. That's a long story. And he's the angel Gabriel, because that's his name. And he just likes hanging out with me. I'm always like, there's these young people. I go, wow, they want to talk to me and hang out with me. And he said, hey, Karen, so I left the fire department. I got time. I do landscaping and handyman stuff. I'm like, you're kidding. So he came over that afternoon. He looked it over. He gave me a bid. I don't mind paying. It was a really big job. And he hung around and he did different things, and I just thought, the angel Gabriel, oh my God. And then, yeah, it just, every time I go there, there's just something. I wanted to get a package to the UK, and I go in there, and I'm in the shower, and this woman had broke a hip last year, and so we're in the shower, and I go, look at you, you're just so good. And then she said, yeah, and then she said, oh, I'm going to the UK. I said, really? I have a package I want to send to someone in Wales. And she's like, well, if as long as it's not too heavy. I said, it's a flute. And she actually came to my house to pick it up. She's an artist. I didn't know she was an artist because I looked her up, and she came to my house. She picked it up. She wrote to me and she said, yeah, and today it got there. And it was just, the pool is magic. It's not like there's the water, and the water's 82 degrees, and we're outside, and there's a lot of rain, and there's trees, and there's plants. And Gabriel usually walks me to my car, but so do other people. And I go, why, it's just this amazing. When I don't go, it's not like people are calling me or hanging out with me, but it motivates me. It just motivates me it feels so
It's
good.
awesome that you
And,
have that. That's really good.
but when you say you just would be too tired, you mean to get dressed, to do everything, or
Oh,
what?
I mean, I have to recover after a shower. The hot, like, and I
Oh,
could take a cooler shower, I suppose, but even just to stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down, like I've got a bench, but I have to
okay.
recover after having a
Yeah.
shower. My
I,
fatigue is, yeah.
Well, I could shower there. That's my motivation. Sometimes I'm like, I haven't taken a shower. I can do bird baths. I'm a trained nurse. I know how to clean myself. But then I go, but if I go to the pool, I could take a shower, and I have to like push myself. Yesterday, I wanted to go. I think I went on Sunday, and then it was nice. It was warm-ish, and then I wanted to go yesterday, and I got my bathing suit on before I left the house, and I said, "Oh no, it's too cold. It's just too cold. I can't go. I'm not going to go. It's just too cold." And I'm puttering around the kitchen. I was like, this is my spirituality of singing, and I went, "You can do it. You can do it, Karen. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it." And I was like, okay, because often I just go, I feel like going to bed, and I said, just do it, just do it. I don't push myself. If I give in to that, and I just went, you can do it. So then I go, it's only a mile and a half to drive. Then I drive, and when I was leaving the house, it was sunny. Then I get to the park, it's cold and windy, and I'm like, I want to turn around, and I just went, you can do it. You can do it. And I managed to do it. And I thought, how am I going to get out of the pool? It's such a long walk, and it's cold. It's a long walk because I'm slow. How am I going to get out? And when I got out, the sun came out, and I was like, thank you so much. I can do this. It just improves my mood. But yeah, I used to walk. I can't walk anymore. I miss that so much. And I know those swim days are going away, just like it's a never ending. My primary said, she said, Karen, it's just grief. And it's like, it never ends. The grief never ends. And
Hmm.
when you honor it, I think I honored it a little bit recently. It's never ending because you keep losing.
Yeah, Carmen, I was struggling snorkeling in the pool. I had really heavy, I think they were rubber fins, and then I was wearing that tankini top, and with it wet and tight, there was like no way I could pull it off. And I'm just like, do I have to
Hmm.
use the family bathroom with my husband to be able to go swimming? And I
Maybe.
realized, okay, I know. Well, I changed what I wear. I wear a bikini top, but I wear a zip rash guard, and then I wear swim leggings. So it's really easy if I need to go to the bathroom. There's none of this trying to get out of a wet suit,
Hmm.
thing. And then I got new fins that were just cheap ones on Amazon that were super lightweight. But it's like I swam, and with the towel and everything wet with water, I couldn't carry my stuff. My husband had to carry it to the car. I was like, this could be a problem because I was so tired and weak. And at my pool at the park, and then you have to walk clear the front of the building, and you have to enter, and you have to walk clear the back of the building where the women's locker room is, and then the women's locker room is the furthest away from the pool. It's just like, Marty, all the
Yeah,
walking
that
just to get to
long
the
walk.
water.
You know, you talk about fins, and I never swam in the winter. And one of the he's not a lifeguard there anymore, but he swims there. He gave me a cap one day, like that's warm, because I would just never swim in the winter. I would just walk, but it's the only place I could move. And then I had the lifeguards help me figure out how do I get this on my head. But now with my paralyzed hand, you know, I go in there and I'm like, I need help with everything. And when you talk about fins, it's like, well, who would want that? And no, a tankini and two parts to keep track of. I just have one kind of bathing suit that I buy online when I find them on sale. It's like that works for me, but I do now. I go, well, you know, how am I going to get this stuff off of me? How am I going to? It's constant. It's just I'm seeing that a lot. I think I had a lot of grief over that the last few weeks, and I haven't seen you guys, and I guess I'm adjusting in a certain way, or when I have little wins of, you know, I'm trying to figure out about the lift and whatever, and it's everything is so hard. Everything you have to negotiate, and a house right over there has had somebody working on it for 3 weeks and 3 months, and a couple of like a month and a half ago, I was talking to the workers in Spanish. It's like I said, he's like saying hello to me. I was like, can you come over here? Tengo un disabilidad. And I hear them. I see how they work. So yesterday they were done and they had me come over. They changed the filter on my house. Like they've been really nice to me, just so nice. And they had me walk over, come here. I'll show you what we did with the work. And he said he was going to do it on Friday. I think he said Friday. He said we talked on Thursday or Friday, and he said Thursday, and he goes, "Yeah, Friday we're done with this. You know, we're going to be done. Okay, you know, tomorrow I'll help you with the filter." And they packed everything up and they left, and I was so depressed. I was like, I can't believe they said they would help me, and they didn't help me. And then yesterday I was out when I came back, and he said, "Oh, hi, can I do that today? You want to go see what's over there?" I just felt so good, but I've been needing to do this to get a lift, and I have to change the put down cement. Like my whole walkway's a freaking mess, and I can't figure out what to do. And one of the other guys speaks English really well, but it just they're so lovely and they're done and they come from far away. And I said, can you do the cement? And so he like, I hope it happens because I don't care. I'll pay them whatever. Like I trust them. You know, they're good people. And he said, okay, let me measure and see what it is and how do you want it to be? And I thought, you know, maybe I should do that and then get the deck built because it's like to break it up because I felt like I have to get both and who's going to do it and what do I want and all that. So I'm in a better mood, even if it doesn't work out because I thought things are going to work out. But when you get that little glimmer of like, you know, okay, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can really make this, maybe the world is a safe place and people are good and they care.
Well, thank you all for coming. Our next meeting is in 2 weeks, May 23rd. And then, does anyone have anything else they wanted to talk about before I stop the recording tonight? No? Okay.